Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our college hour, exploring the job market today. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Danielle Tran. I am a training coordinator with the California Department of Veteran Affairs, California Transit Assistance Team. I'm just going to go over a few housekeeping items before we jump right in. We are asking that everyone go ahead and use the Q&A for their questions. So at any point during this presentation, if you have questions, please utilize the Q&A portion of that chat, and we'll go ahead and answer those as we go or save them for our virtual Q&A. You'll hear from me with a brief overview. You'll hear from our local interagency network coordinator. We'll get right into the meat and potatoes, and then we'll wrap that up with the Q&A. So as I said, my name is Danielle Tran. Let's do a quick overview. So CalTAP is designed to inform and connect veterans of all eras to their earned state and federal benefits. We do that through our 4 pathways: core curriculum, education, employment, and entrepreneurship, with that 5th pathway being reserved for those who are actively serving veterans as well. We do ask that you stay connected with us. That way we can always update you on what your benefits are. You can utilize our YouTube channel to watch previously recorded webinars such as this one, and you can register on the My Calvet website in order to stay informed of what those benefits are and when we might have webinars, not only from CalTAP, but from other divisions within the California Department of Veteran Affairs. You can follow us on our social media platforms. And then finally, if you have the time, we ask that you do leave your feedback for this webinar so that we can continue to inform and improve our programs. And this is where you can get access to our recorded webinars if you're not going directly through YouTube. They are on our CalTAP main page. So this is just a brief snapshot of what your California benefits are. This is not the topic of our webinar today, but I do want to point them out and let you know that if you're not familiar with these, we are here to give you more information about all of these benefits. We can connect you to the right resources in order to get access to these. So if you have any questions regarding these benefits, please let us know and give us a call. You can also get more information about these benefits in the Veterans Resource Book. You would have received a link for this book in your registration packet, and it's also available on our website. So all of the information that you would need on those benefits are in here. And finally, we also want to remind you to stay connected to your federal benefits by visiting va.gov. Everything that's going to be related to your federal benefits are going to be here. Anything that they've updated or changed, you want to make sure you have access to that through their website. And this is my contact information if you need to ask me any more questions about those benefits. If not, I'm going to turn it over to our local interagency network coordinator, Merlene, and she's going to talk about what she does.
Thank you so much, Danielle. Next slide, please. What California did is they split us into 8 different regions in California. Each person on this map, each region is represented by a person. I am the big red area there. And what we do is we provide region-specific benefit information. So your benefits may change depending on where you live. And each needs of the veterans in each area seems to be different depending on the location that the veteran is in. If you have further questions or need more information, my contact is there. Next slide, please. So what do the links do? We reach out to service members, veterans and their families. We work directly with established service providers. So be it VA federally or county, or maybe some of the nonprofits, or you need some specific help with other things, then you're going to find a link who can refer you and do a warm handoff to somebody in any clinic, any vet center, any nonprofit, any type of resource that you could potentially need. We also assist with local emergencies. So the fires that we've had recently, you're going to find a link on site to be able to provide you with information. Where do you go for transitional housing? Where do you go to replace your DD-214? These kinds of questions. You're going to find a link being able to do that. We also provide leadership and advocacy to the local communities. I mean, I have met with congressmen and the VA secretary and the federal VA secretary and the calvet secretaries. and just talked about what is needed in my specific region. I know that every other link has as well. Next slide. Some of the people that we can connect you to are the Employment Training Development Center. Sometimes veterans come in and just say, look, I need a job. And we're able to directly do a warm handoff to an EDD worker in the American Job Centers in our region. Also, we have contacts in all the county veteran service offices, and of course here at CalVet, as well as, like I said before, the vet centers, the regional medical centers, and the clinics. Next slide. This is my contact information. Should you have any further questions, or you want to reach out to me or another link, or need their contact info.
Thank you, Marlene. All right, let's get to it. So talking about the California employment landscape. If you are looking for more information on how to access some of the things we'll be talking about on our website, you can go to that employment pathway on our CalTAP page. There you'll find multiple modules on your personal appraisal, getting assistance with the job search, talking about state and federal government, federal employment, which we'll talk about briefly here today, interview techniques, things of that nature. You can get access to that information here. So looking at the California labor market, the top 5 fastest growing professions through 2028 are those that are listed below. And so if you're looking to get into something new, something that you know is going to grow, there'll be opportunities for you to promote within. These are the markets that you kind of want to be looking at. So this is a great resource. This is something that the Employment Development Department keeps updated, but through 2028, they've seen that the data shows that these are going to be the areas that are going to have the most job growth. So when you're preparing to apply, this is where we're going to spend some time on going over the bulk of what the tips are going to be. You want to create a master resume. And what that master resume is a list of all of the jobs you've had in the past. From your military service, you can list each duty station as a separate job. You want to have that information there and ready to go so that when you do find a job that you're interested in applying to, you can very quickly be able to pull the most relevant jobs that you've done that will be specific to the position that you're applying for. So once you have that master resume together, you're going to create a brand new resume each time that you apply for a job. That's going to be your targeted resume. And on that targeted resume, you need to make sure that you match terminology. This is going to be the most important thing that you're going to hear. You have to match the terminology, those keywords, that job description for the job that you are applying for. Over the weekend, I heard a commercial for Indeed, and it says they are connecting potential employees with your job description. That's literally what the commercial said. They are matching the job description with your resume. So when you are creating your targeted resume, you need to use the language from the job description that you're applying for in your own resume. So if it says analyze, you use analyze. If it says, if you're applying for something that it says, maybe it says that's a trainer or a supervisor. Say a lot of positions might say, you know, I was just the manager, but the job description title says supervisor. Change it from manager to supervisor to match. It's not cheating. It's not plagiarism. It's using their language. A manager and a supervisor are the same thing. There's just different companies will utilize different language, but you want to make sure that you're utilizing the language for the job that you're applying for. And the reason you do that is because most agencies, companies, businesses are utilizing what is called an automatic tracking system. And what this does, it sends your resume through this computer program, and it's going to analyze how much of those keywords match and how much of those keywords do not match. So if you're not getting a high match, the computer program is going to say, this person is not qualified for this position. They're going to deny that application. It's never going to make it to an actual human person. And this is where a lot of qualified candidates are getting screened out and not actually getting to a point where their resume is being seen by an actual human person who can make those logical connections that, hey, this person was a manager, I'm looking to fulfill a supervisory role. They're the same thing. The computer wants to see matches only. So it's very important that you're matching the terminology. You can use websites like Job Scanner. They will scan your resume and make sure that it matches the job description that you're applying for. Utilize those benefits, because what's really key right now is to make sure that you're beating that automatic tracking system. These online programs, we love our technology, but this is where it's kind of hurting people. They're getting screened out before they even get an opportunity to get into that interview and really show exactly how they can do that job. Finally, you want to make sure that you keep a ready list of references. If a potential employer is looking to check your references, that means they want to hire you. If they have to chase people to get, or chase you really to get the contact information for your potential references, they might go ahead and go on to the next person. You want to be able to get them that information quickly. You want to make sure that your references know that they might be getting a call. Don't take 10 days to get that information. Give it to them within the hour of them asking for it. So if you have those references ready, you can just go ahead and send that to them right away. You also want to remember that the federal resume is a little bit different. It could be much longer, up to 6 pages, versus a civilian resume. You're generally just going to submit a 1-page resume. And then finally, you want to make sure that you find out if the agency or company offers any veterans preference. We know that the state and federal government offers that veterans preference, but also there are local agencies, some county offices that will also give you that additional leg up if you are a veteran. You also want to think of long-term. The job market can be very competitive, and it might take you a little bit longer to get to the position that you're looking for. You might have to start at a little bit of a lower level and work your way up. You also want to be able to leave relocation within the state on the table. There are some areas that have more jobs than others. And then finally, just don't get discouraged. It might take a little bit longer than you'd like, but you will find the job that you're looking for. So looking at state and federal employment, I want to go over briefly some federal employment tips. If you're going to apply for a federal job, they use usajobs.gov. You'll go on there. If you don't have one already, you'll create a profile, you'll search for jobs. You'll do your application through here. Again, it is an online system, so they are using that ATS system. You can submit whatever applications you want. They're going to review the application. Hopefully they'll call you back for an interview if you made sure to match all that terminology. They'll do that selection of the candidate and do the job offer. To get a veterans preference, you're going to go to fedshirevets.gov. And back on this previous page, you can get 5 or 10 points in order to get that additional benefit. Some companies do have a veterans recruitment appointment. And so what that means, it allows these companies to do a non-competitive hire of a veteran specific, meaning they're going to be really targeting you. So giving you that additional preference and benefit. Here's what the form will look at that you'll need to fill out, and you'll go ahead and upload this document onto your usajobs.gov profile. I believe you'll be actually submitting it with the application every time you do apply. So helpful resources, again, you should be able to get a copy of this. I believe Michael, our counterpart, will be sending a copy of the PowerPoint in the chat. Download it there or email us and we'll be able to get you this PowerPoint in your hand. But these are some additional resources that can help you when applying for federal jobs and really just building your resume in general. So speaking on state employment, I always say that this will sound like a plug, like I'm just trying to get you to come work for the state, but we are, as state employees, the greatest resource because we're doing the job. So don't look at it like that. I'm just telling you, the state is one of the largest employers in California. We have over 150 agencies. There's multiple geographical locations. I live near downtown Sacramento, so there's offices that are 15 minutes away. There's also an office that's about 5 minutes away from me in this residential area. So there's lots of different places where you can work. There's lots of different jobs. That's one of my favorite things about the state. We are doing traveling. We're not just sitting behind an office doing paperwork. We're out here doing webinars, presenting to people. We're doing in-person events with colleges. We're doing in-person events with Department of Defense bases. There's lots of different options and opportunities within the state. Just think outside the box when you're doing your job search. I guarantee you there's something there for you that you're going to be very interested in. Benefits are just like any other job. You have great pension, savings, health benefits, things of those nature. One thing that I think is extremely important is if you are a veteran, they will give you some additional leave hours in order to attend your service-connected disability appointments. This is a great benefit if you're starting out fresh. As with any new employee, you start out with 0 hours. But if you were starting as a veteran, you would be able to get these 96 hours to handle any of those appointments that would be essential to your health. So to get started, you're going to go to jobs.ca.gov and you'll create your profile. We'll talk about how to get veterans preference. We'll talk about what an assessment and exam is, and you'll apply for positions and then participate in a hiring interview. So here is that website. It's jobs.ca.gov. It'll sometimes show up as Cal Careers. You'll go on there and create a profile. Once you're there, you'll get a Cal Career ID. Your email address will also need to be up there because sometimes that's how they'll contact you about new job postings. You want to make sure that you are keeping a track of your Cal Career user ID, because that's how you're going to be able to log in. Unfortunately, if you lose that login information, you'll likely have to create a new account. I've heard that it's very difficult to get this new information, but this is a great account to have if you're applying for, this is the account to have if you're applying for jobs. You can also apply for jobs in paper, but you'll do it here as well. In order to get veterans preference, you will apply for that. And what this means is, as a veteran, you'll automatically be added to the top rank of any examination. So let's say the state agencies are usually looking for people who are ranked in that top 3. Well, you're always going to be ranked 0. So they're going to start with the veteran and they're going to 1, then 2, then 3. So that's a great benefit for you. Additionally, veterans can apply for promotional exams. Generally speaking, only current state employees can apply for these promotional exams, so that's even less people for you to compete with. So it's at the regular level, you compete with anybody who wants a state job, people who aren't hired with the state and people who are. And then with promotional exams, you only have to compete with people who are currently state employees. So it gives you an additional position to apply for in order to get in with the state. And as to emphasize how important veterans are, you'll see that it's on the main page of Cal Careers. And once you click on that, you will define access to the Veterans Preference Form. And this form can only be used once. So again, it's just there to help you get a leg up. Either when you're first coming into the state, you can use it, or if you're applying for, if you already get hired on and you want to apply for maybe an upper position, you can use your veterans preference there, but it can only be used that one time. You're going to submit this form to Cal HR with a copy of your DD-214 so they can verify that you are a veteran, and then they'll add this veteran status to your application so that every time you do apply to something or to your profile, excuse me, they'll be added to your profile so that every time you apply for a job, it will already be there. They'll know that you are a veteran. So searching for vacancies, you can go to find jobs. And what's going to happen is there's a couple different ways that you can look, but really you just want to pay attention to the filing deadlines. You want to make sure that you're either getting those things done before that deadline approaches, or in some cases they might say that they are looking for a position until it's filled. So you either will have an infinity amount of time or you'll have a specific deadline. You can search for jobs by county. You can search for jobs looking at specific classifications, such as the social governmental program analyst. You can look for jobs a couple different ways when you're playing around with the advanced search. An important thing to note with the state specifically is a lot of people will end up in this classification. That's how they do most state employees. You're either an office technician, you're either a staff services analyst, or you're associate governmental program analyst, one of these classifications that ultimately tells you absolutely zero about what you'll be doing in that position. So that's where the duty statement comes in. When you're looking at these job postings, it will show, like at the top here, it says project control officer. So your classification will be the associate governmental program analyst, but your working job title will be program control officer. I always try to think of this as say the classification is the equivalent of a teacher. The duty statement will tell you exactly what job you're teaching, what grade you're teaching, right? So everybody, we know that K through 12 all the way up to college, those are considered teachers. The detail is what grade are you actually teaching, and the duty statement will tell you that information. So in that duty statement, that's where you're looking to find those keywords that I mentioned for any position that you're applying for, not only with the state, but anywhere. This is where you're going to find the keywords, that key information of where you're going to pull those words that you're going to match on your resume. So it's going to go into extreme detail exactly of what you'll be doing in this position, It's going to give you that working title sometimes, but again, mostly what you're looking for is that keyword, that key terminology that you're going to pull to match on your resume to make sure that you get the highest score possible, when you are completing this application. And again, even if you are submitting a paper application, you can't get around it that way. They're still going to be scoring your resume. They're still going to be looking at how much your resume matches this duty statement. So it's really important that you look at this, you review it, you understand it, it matches your resume, and you are able to speak to these positions, these informations, when you have your interview to say, hey, you said that you, as a project control officer, I'm going to be meeting with district maintenance project managers. So you want to be able to talk about those things in your resume and in the interview. So it's very key that you understand this duty statement very well and get very familiar with it. So once you've done that, you've made your targeted resume utilizing the duty statement and matching those key terminologies, that keywords, you're going to go to apply now. And you're going to, more than likely, if you're not already a state employee, you're going to need to obtain eligibility. And this is something that's very unique to the state. You're going to search and take the examination. So for this particular classification, Associate Governmental Program Analyst, this is an online exam. It's a self-assessment. So be generous to yourself. Think about all that you've done. If you've gone to college, think about your college experience, those things that you've done, thinking about all of the duty statements you've held as a veteran, think about all of that and say, hey, I've done a lot. And that's where the master resume comes into place, right? Because when we're applying for jobs, we tend to focus on what we did in our last job and what we're doing in our current job. You likely have amazing experience that you did 5-10 years ago that would be relevant to this position. So you really want to consider all that you've done when you're taking this self-assessment. It's an online self-assessment. You want to be able to get the highest score possible. So be your own cheerleader, okay? Don't be, nitpicky with the things that you've done. Be your own cheerleader. Say, hey, I've done that. Give yourself 100% credit every time when you're talking about the things that you've done in order to pass this exam. So the exam is going to evaluate your education, your experience, your knowledge, your skills, and ability. Again, from everything that you've done, from the beginning of your employment career all the way to now. There's a few different exam methods that the state uses. Most of them are going to be those online exams, but if when you get the interview, you're going to have a qualifications appraisal panel. It's usually going to be 2 to 3 people. In some positions, you might have a written exam. Again, it just depends on the nature of the job. You might also have a supplemental exam. Depends on the nature of the job. I tend to say, hey, if you're applying for a job where I'm going to be working on taxes and they're looking for a CPA, they might give you an additional exam to say, hey, do you actually know about CPA stuff? It might be something like that. And then finally, they're looking at your education experience. And this is where they're taking your job application and they're going to be giving that a score as well. You can also take exams based on your education. So if you're looking at things, for example, as a high school graduate, then you might be looking at office assistant positions, or if you're looking specifically for a major like criminal justice, for example, there are positions that will be looking specifically for you to have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. And so you can tailor your job search and your exam search based on that information. So some of the entry levels to the exams are office assistants. That's going to be the most entry level one. There's office technician, and there's also a staff services analyst. So again, they perform a variety of jobs, but each one is going to lead up to the next. Once you get your results, that will automatically be added to your CalCareers profile and will be saved on there. Most of the exams will last you for a year, and you can only take it after that year has passed. So you want to make sure that you do great. Like I said, be generous to yourself. You are amazing. You got to give yourself that credit. Here's where it will show up on your profile. You'll see all of the eligibilities that you've passed and the class title that you would fit into. And so now that you have your eligibility. And again, this goes back to making sure you pay attention to the job posting and when that job is due, because sometimes it can take some time to apply for state jobs. You have to make sure you're on that classification list if you weren't on it already. So you want to make sure you plan ahead. Don't just look at something and say, hey, that application is due in a week, I got this. You want to spend time doing that. So that's where really paying attention to that due date comes in handy. So this is what the application will look like if you're filling it out on paper, but once you do this online, it'll also populate all this information into this form automatically for you. The statement of qualifications is probably the most important thing when you're applying for state jobs, but also very frustrating and difficult for some people as well. It is one of the things that the state uses to screen their candidates, because there's lots of people that are applying for the state. It's a wonderful place to work, but they want to make sure they're getting the most qualified candidates. So a statement of qualifications is a narrative discussion of your knowledge, skills, and abilities. So this allows the state agency to screen for the most qualified person. And 9 times out of 10, they are going to require you to submit a statement of qualifications. And you have to pay attention, because unfortunately people do not, and this is how they get screened out. You have to pay attention to the requirements for the statement of qualifications, because each state agency can be a little bit different. Some of them might say specifically use this font and use this size. Some of them will say do double space. Some of them will say 1 page. Some of them will say 2 page. And so if you aren't following these directions, they are automatically going to screen your whole application package out, because you didn't even follow the basic directions. So how are they going to see that you're a great candidate if you can't even follow simple directions? So you want to make sure that you are looking at exactly what the requirements are for your statement of qualifications and following those to a T in order to make sure that you don't get screened out. So when you are applying for a job, now you've studied, or when you get your interview, you want to study that job announcement again. You want to study that duty statement. So again, that you know exactly what they're looking for, and you can say, hey, I can relate my experience, my knowledge, everything that I've done to the job that you're looking for, because I've done that, and here's why. I'm going to tell you exactly why. And the more you are familiar with that duty statement, the more you can make those connections and say, hey, I've already done these things. Let me tell you why I was really successful at them. Let me tell you how I've made things better for my current employee, and how I'll make things better for your agency. Brag about yourself. That's what that's for. And again, make sure you're reading all the instructions. So in summary, you want to make sure you create a master and target resume that matches all the terminology in the job description. Again, it's not plagiarism, it is just wordsmithing. They want to see that those match. You want to use their language so that they are very easily able to see, I can do this job because it's the same language. Okay, think of it that way. If they have veterans preference, typically it's going to be state and federal, but there are counties that will do that. Apply for that veterans preference. Take advantage of that. You guys have earned it. You've done a lot, and it's the very least that we could do to honor your service. Take any necessary exams. It's going to be probably state only. Apply for that vacancy and participate in the hiring interview. And then here are some other additional resources that can help you when you are applying for your job. Again, if you have any questions about this process, you can find more information in the Veterans Resource Book, or you can contact me directly. If you are calling that 1-800 number, you'll get access to our links. You'll get access to the rest of our CalTAP team. We're there to help and answer those phone lines if you have any questions. So at that point, I'm going to turn it over to Jessica, our wonderful contact with Work for Warriors.
Thank you so much. So my name is Jessica Folks, and I am with the California State Military Department Work for Warriors program. And what we do is we help all veterans, veteran spouses, and veteran dependents with employment. Now, I say this because that is how we originally started. However, since March of 2020, when the pandemic began, we actually have opened up our doors to each and every person in California. Our goal is to reduce the unemployment rate and help each and every Californian with their quality of life and put them on their career path. So, as I mentioned, we do help those that are active duty or guardsmen, Army, Air, State, veterans, retirees. We also help those that are survivors of any type of disaster that have been displaced, at-risk youth. But like I said, we do help all Californians as long as they're over the age of 18 with a high school diploma. The California State Military Department will assist them in their employment efforts. Next slide, please. Direct placement model. So we basically mirror your headhunter, corporate staffing firm, and we help you with employment, anything from A to Z, okay? So that includes resume, writing tips, critiques. I actually work with an organization that is nationwide, that's based in Atlanta, Georgia, and they will write your resume. All veterans and all veteran spouses, they will completely redo your resume for free. And they are professional resume writers. So I send anyone who wants a brand new resume over to them, and it's all remote and all free. We help you prep for interviews. So whether that's a panel, Skype, phone, any type of interview, we can be there to assist and help you prep for that. We recommend you to our employer partners if you're interested in working for some of the employers that we have partnerships with, but then we can also market you to employers that we may not have relationships with, but we can go ahead and build one for you and other veterans in the future. We have some industry specific training options. For example, I work with cybersecurity and executive protection, where they train veterans for free, but also help place them once they're done. And I've worked with them for several years and have a great proven track record of success with them. So those are two options for you. Next slide, please. So we handle all of California. There is not one aspect of our state that goes untouched. We have 3 physical locations, which is Los Al and Kearny Mesa Armory in San Diego. Our headquarters is in Sacramento, but most of us do work from home, so everything is remote and virtual. But if you ever did need to meet with someone, we do have people at those 3 locations. Next slide, please. So these are just some of the examples of companies that we work with, but we always like to stress this. We work with all industries and we work with all size companies. So it doesn't matter if you want to work for a Fortune 100 or if you want to work for a mom and pop. We actually work with every industry. There's not one single one that's untouched, from entertainment to healthcare and everything in between. Next slide, please. We also have unique opportunities that are posted with state active duty. Now for these, it does require a California Military Department membership. So you would either be State Guard, Air National Guard, or Army National Guard. But we do have those available. And if you are interested, they are often posted on our job board. But you could also reach out to me and I can get you connected with the people on my team that work most closely with those positions. And those are fantastic opportunities. Next slide, please. We are extremely social media prevalent. We have a team up in Sacramento, our special projects team, that devotes each and every day to this. So we are on all the social media outlets, so please feel free to connect with us. But also it's a great way that we post some of our hot positions. And so it's great to be connected because you'll see flyers that you may not normally see like on our job board. And so it's a really great like for example, right before this meeting, I sent up a hot job that I have in Whittier that I need people for immediately. So I sent it up to our special projects team and they'll be posting that by the end of the day. Next slide, please. So the one thing I did want to end with is that our job board is truly magnificent because it is so ridiculously user friendly. And I always want to promote this because all the jobs are in California. Okay. But you may know someone who has no military affiliation whatsoever that's looking for a position, and you can refer them to our job board. We post each and every position on that we have with all of our employers, our entire team. And what's so great about this is that it's all you have to do is attach your resume. There's no application process that you have to do with us. So you attach your resume. And the best part of it is that you're never ever going into an abyss. You will be contacted by either myself or a coworker of mine. And if you are not a fit for the job you applied for, we will refer other jobs that we feel like you might be a fit for based on your salary, your skill set, and your location. So it is a great tool to use, and you can just simply access it from our website. It's the first thing that comes up. It says careers. So I do want to end with that, and good luck to all of you, and I hope that we get to hear from you and help you with your employment efforts.
Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So at this point, we will turn it over and check out what's been happening in our Q&A section. Michael, I will pass it over to you.
There's no other questions right now. They were all answered. So unless anybody has any other questions.
Awesome. All right, well, if we'll wait, we'll give you guys a second to figure out if you have any more questions. I will go ahead and go over to our next slide. We do have a few more upcoming webinars. We are kind of paring down a little bit as we move into schools being out for the school year. But again, we do host our own webinars, usually every Tuesday. So if you are looking to get information about any of these topics, we encourage you guys to go ahead and join the webinars. You can go ahead and sign up just like you did on our Eventbrite page. All right, I do see some coming in. Let me go back here. Yes, the slides should be in the chat box. If for some reason you can't download them, please email us. I'll put our Calvet email right here, our CalTAP one, caltap@calvet.ca.gov. If you aren't able to download those resources, please send us an email. And then again, let's just wrap it up here. I'll give it a few more moments for questions, but please, we do really value your feedback. So if you are missing something that we didn't cover, you'd like to see covered, or you'd like to make a suggestion for a future webinar, we always are looking for those ideas as well. Please go ahead and complete the survey if you have a chance. Okay, so I see a question here. It says, my husband is 90% service-connected disability, but with total and permanent designation where he is paid at the 100% rate, can I qualify for veterans preference at the state? So he would qualify. They don't necessarily look at their service connection. They just want them to be a veteran. As long as you were honorably discharged, the veteran would be able to get that veteran's preference. I'm not sure if it works for the spouse. I've never actually had that question. Merlene, do you happen to know if the veteran's preference benefits the spouse at all? That is the first time I've had that question, which is bizarre. Oh, did Merlene sign off? Oh no. I think we lost Merlene. Yeah, we did. That is a great question. If you're asking specifically if it relates to the spouse, please email me. I'll put my email back up here because I've never gotten that question and I would have to do some research. It might be on there, the CalHR form, I might show you. But I would assume it's for the veteran, but if they're rated total and permanent, that might change things. So it doesn't ever hurt to ask. But I don't have an answer for that. I apologize. Michael, do you know?
Yes, so there's like different kinds of specifications and stuff for so there's like all kinds of veteran preferences, and there is veteran preferences for the spouse, but it should tell you in the form when you read through the form and you check certain boxes, it should say what you're eligible for, and it should be able to tell you that based off of the veteran.
So there's a guest that said that it does show that it's on the application. It does say that the spouse, if they're 100%, it's likely if they're 100% permanent total, they would qualify for. So definitely check that form. We did put the CalHR answer, the CalHR email. That's one of my favorites to put on there. So if you go back to the PowerPoint, when you have your slide deck and you get to the end of the employment one, where it lists all those links, it does have CalHR's contact information. You can always contact them directly. They actually do respond very well. I did ask the question a few months ago about when veterans can apply for that veterans preference, if service members can apply before they transition out, and they responded right away. So if you have any additional questions, they're always a great resource to just go to and email directly. But that's an excellent question. I'm glad we got some clarity on that. Okay, we'll give it a few more minutes. I'll go back to the CalTAP page too, so you can have. Okay, well, we appreciate you guys taking the opportunity to join us, taking some time out of your afternoon. We really appreciate your feedback. If you do have an opportunity to fill out that survey, thank you for joining us. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to us and email us.